Success doesn't come with the same story for everyone. Some people rise slowly, brick by brick, while others skyrocket overnight. But here's the truth. Slow success builds character, while fast success builds ego. When you grind day after day, facing setbacks, learning lessons, and pushing through the struggle, you develop resilience, humility, and discipline. That's character. On the other hand, when success comes too quickly, without the grind, without the lessons, it often feeds pride, arrogance, and ego. And ego will always sabotage what discipline could have sustained. This message today is not about chasing the fastest way up. It's about building yourself strong enough to stay up once you get there. When we talk about success, most people imagine it as a moment of breakthrough, a promotion, a business launch, a viral video, or some recognition that suddenly changes everything. But the reality is that what truly determines the quality and durability of that success is the process that came before it. And that process, more often than not, is slow, demanding, and repetitive. It feels unremarkable, even invisible while it's happening. Yet it is precisely in this slowness where the most essential qualities of a human being are developed: patience, discipline, and resilience. Think about it when you are forced to wait, when progress doesn't happen as quickly as you hoped. You are confronted with yourself. You see your impulses, your restlessness, your desire for shortcuts. You begin to notice how easy it is to quit when the reward isn't immediate. That friction, that tension is not a punishment, it's training. It's the world shaping you into someone who is not only capable of achieving success, but capable of carrying the weight of it. Because success is heavy. It demands responsibility. And without the patience forged through slow progress, most people are crushed by it. Patience is not passive. It's not sitting around doing nothing, waiting for the universe to deliver. Patience is active endurance. It's choosing to keep showing up day after day when results aren't visible. It's the athlete practicing in silence, the writer filling pages no one will read yet, the entrepreneur knocking on doors that keep closing. It's not glamorous, and it rarely feels rewarding in the moment. But every repetition strengthens the muscles of discipline. And every act of discipline is an investment in a future that most people will never reach because they gave up too soon. Discipline, then, is the twin of patience. If patience is the ability to endure time, discipline is the ability to control your actions within that time. It's aligning your daily behavior with your long-term vision. That means doing what needs to be done, not what feels good. And that is extraordinarily difficult in a culture that glorifies instant gratification. Everywhere you look, there are messages telling you that you can have what you want right now: fast food, overnight shipping, viral fame, instant wealth. But all of those promises bypass the essential struggle that creates strength. If you don't cultivate the discipline to delay gratification, you become a slave to your impulses. And nothing destroys potential faster than that. This is why slow success is such a gift. It forces you into discipline. It demands that you regulate your emotions, manage your time, and hold yourself accountable. You cannot fake slow success. You cannot bluff your way into character. You have to earn it. And in the process, you build the kind of internal architecture that not only gets you to the mountaintop, but keeps you there when the storms hit. Psychologically, what's happening here is profound. Slow progress rewires your relationship with effort and reward. Instead of expecting immediate payoff, you begin to internalize the truth that effort itself is meaningful. You stop working only for the external reward, and you start working because you've learned to find meaning in the process. This is the foundation of resilience. If you can stay committed without constant validation, if you can keep building when no one is clapping, you've reached a level of strength most people never touch. On the other hand, those who stumble into fast success often lack these qualities. They rise quickly, but their foundation is weak. They haven't faced enough resistance to truly understand themselves. They haven't been tested. And when inevitable challenges come, and they always do, their lack of patience and discipline becomes evident, ego takes over. Entitlement creeps in. And what was built quickly often collapses just as quickly, leaving them more broken than before. Slow success also carries a deeper moral dimension. It humbles you. It makes you empathetic because you know what it feels like to struggle. You develop respect for others on the journey because you recognize the weight they are carrying. Patience is not only a psychological virtue, but a moral one. It shapes the way you see yourself and the way you treat others. That's why people who have endured the grind often radiate wisdom and authority. They've suffered enough to have something real to say. So the next time you feel frustrated because things aren't moving fast enough, I want you to remember this. The slowness is not a sign that you are failing. It is a sign that you are being built. You are being given time to construct the inner strength necessary to hold your future success without being destroyed by it. Quick success may feed your ego, but slow success will forge your character. And in the long run, character always outlasts ego. One of the most overlooked truths about success is that the struggle on the way up is not an obstacle to your destiny. It is the very thing that prepares you for it. Slow success doesn't just delay your comfort. It strips you of illusions, it tests your limits, and it forces you to confront parts of yourself you would rather ignore. That's how character is formed. It's forged in discomfort and setbacks, in moments where you doubt whether the effort is even worth it. Without that, success may come faster, but it will leave you hollow, unprepared, and weak in the face of inevitable adversity. It is tempting to want the easy path. Who doesn't want comfort? Who doesn't want things to come quickly without resistance? But comfort is deceptive. Comfort feels like safety, but it robs you of growth. If you're always comfortable, you never learn how to manage pain, how to recover from failure, how to keep going when everything in you wants to quit. And if you never learn those lessons, your success, if it comes, will not be sustainable. You'll have the crown, but not the shoulders strong enough to carry it. Think about the stories that inspire us the most. They are never about people who had everything handed to them. They're about those who clawed their way through difficulty, who endured when it would have been easier to quit. We admire them because they show us that comfort is not where meaning is found. Meaning is found in responsibility, in sacrifice, in willingly taking on the weight of the world, even when it feels unbearable. And that weight doesn't destroy you, it shapes you. Fast success, by contrast, often bypasses this crucible. It lets you skip the parts of the journey that refine you. And when that happens, something dangerous grows inside you, ego. Ego tells you that you deserve everything you have without paying the price. It whispers that talent is enough, that luck is proof of superiority. But ego is brittle. It cannot withstand failure, and it collapses under pressure. When you have character, failure strengthens you. When you only have ego, failure destroys you. That's why slow success, though frustrating, is actually a profound blessing. It forces you to choose character over comfort again and again. When doors close, you develop perseverance. When you're overlooked, you cultivate humility. When you fail, you build resilience. Each of these experiences strips away entitlement and teaches you that real growth doesn't happen in moments of ease, but in seasons of discomfort. The more discomfort you endure, the deeper your character becomes. And the deeper your character, the stronger your foundation for lasting success. Psychologically, this isn't just motivational rhetoric, it's a reality backed by human development. Struggle rewires your mind. It trains you to delay gratification, to tolerate uncertainty, to find order in chaos. These are not small things, they are the building blocks of maturity. You cannot develop psychological strength in the absence of challenge. Just as muscles atrophy without resistance, the soul weakens without struggle. And when the soul weakens, even the greatest external success feels empty. Now, I'm not saying comfort has no place. Rest is necessary. Celebration is healthy. But when comfort becomes the goal instead of the byproduct, you lose your edge. You start making choices to avoid pain instead of to grow. And those choices accumulate. Little by little, they erode your strength. You wake up one day realizing you may have gained some external success, but you lost the very thing that matters most. The ability to carry it with wisdom, humility, and integrity. Slow success demands the opposite. It demands you lean into discomfort, embrace struggle, and treat resistance as your teacher. And as you do, your character deepens. You become someone others can trust, someone who doesn't break under pressure, someone whose words carry weight because they've been tested in the fire of reality. That is far more valuable than the fleeting ego boost that comes from comfort or quick wins. So if you find yourself today in the middle of a long, difficult journey, if nothing seems to be happening as quickly as you'd like, don't despise that season. Don't rush to escape. That very discomfort is building in you the character that will sustain you when success finally arrives. You don't have to fear the struggle is the preparation. Because in the end, it is better to endure discomfort now and emerge with unshakable character than to chase comfort and end up with nothing but a fragile ego. One of the greatest differences between slow success and fast success lies in the posture of humility. When success comes gradually, when every inch forward is fought for, it's almost impossible to take it for granted. You remember the long nights, the setbacks, the times when no one was watching or clapping. You know the price you paid. And that memory shapes you. It keeps you grounded. You become aware that what you have is not simply the result of talent or luck, but of persistence, sacrifice, and the grace of others who helped along the way. That's humility. And humility is not weakness. It is strength under control. It is the ability to carry success without being intoxicated by it. But when success comes quickly, without much resistance, humility often gets bypassed. The sudden rush of recognition or achievement creates the illusion that you are untouchable, that the rules don't apply to you, that somehow you are different from everyone else. That's where ego takes root. Ego convinces you that success is proof of superiority rather than responsibility. And once ego takes over, the fall is almost inevitable, because ego blinds you to reality. It prevents you from learning, from listening, from seeing that you still have so much to grow into. The truth is that humility is one of the most important psychological and moral virtues a person can develop. Humility doesn't mean thinking less of yourself, it means seeing yourself accurately. It means recognizing your strengths, yes, but also your limits. It's understanding that no matter how far you've come, there is always more to learn, more to give, more to refine. Slow success trains you in this. Because you failed, you know you're not invincible. Because you've been ignored, you know recognition is not guaranteed. Because you've had to struggle, you know how fragile progress really is. That knowledge protects you from arrogance and prepares you for greater responsibility. Ego, on the other hand, is a liar. It tells you that you've arrived when you've barely started. It tricks you into thinking you no longer need to prepare, no longer need to listen, no longer need to push yourself. And that mindset is deadly. History is full of examples of people who achieved fast success and then lost everything. Not because they lacked talent, but because they lacked humility. They became inflated, careless, blind to their weaknesses, and eventually reality humbled them in the most brutal way possible. Slow success spares you from that by humbling you along the way. Every obstacle you face, every failure you endure is a reminder that you are human, that you are not above the process. That humility becomes a shield. It keeps you teachable. It allows you to take correction without breaking. It keeps your vision clear because you're not blinded by your own pride. And in the long run, that humility is the very thing that allows you to go further than you ever imagined. Think of it like climbing a mountain. If a helicopter drops you at the peak, you might enjoy the view for a while, but you won't have the lungs, the strength, or the stability to survive there. You'll be disoriented, overwhelmed, and likely unprepared for the storm that eventually rolls in. But if you climb the mountain slowly, step by step, the process strengthens you. Your lungs adjust, your muscles adapt, your awareness sharpens. By the time you reach the summit, you're not just there, you're equipped to stay there. That's what humility does. It prepares you not only to reach the top, but to endure the pressure of being there. And humility has another dimension. It makes you grateful. When you've struggled, you don't just see success as your own doing. You recognize the people who supported you, the mentors who guided you, the opportunities you didn't create, but were fortunate enough to receive. Gratitude flows naturally from humility, and gratitude protects you from the emptiness of ego. Gratitude reminds you that success is not just about you. It's about using what you've gained to lift others, to contribute, to leave something meaningful behind. So don't resent the slow journey. Don't despise the times when you feel unseen or uncelebrated. Those seasons are shaping in you the humility you will need later. When success finally arrives, without that humility, success is a trap. With it, success becomes a platform, not just for your own life, but for the lives you'll influence. Because in the end, humility doesn't make you smaller. It makes you strong enough to handle greatness without being destroyed by it. One of the most overlooked differences between slow success and fast success is the strength of the foundation that supports each. Slow success is sustainable because it's built layer by layer, with patience, discipline, and humility shaping each stage. Fast success, on the other hand, often looks impressive on the surface, but is fragile at its core. It can dazzle for a moment, but when the inevitable storms of life come, and they always come, fragility is exposed. It's the difference between building a house on solid rock and building it on sand. The structure on the sand may go up faster, may even look more beautiful at first, but it cannot withstand pressure. The storms of criticism, failure, rejection, or unexpected change tear it apart. But the structure on the rock, though slower to build, stands the test of time because it has depth, it has roots. That's what slow success gives you. A rootedness that no wind can easily uproot. Think about the businesses, careers, or even personal lives that collapse suddenly. From the outside, people often say, it all happened so fast. But the truth is that fast success without a foundation was the problem all along. It wasn't that the storm was unusually destructive. It was that the foundation was never strong enough to hold in the first place. That fragility comes from skipping the slow process, from chasing the quick win instead of building something that can endure. And it's not just structural, it's psychological. When you go through slow success, you accumulate experience, wisdom, and resilience. You learn how to manage failure because you've already lived through it. You learn how to adapt because you've faced obstacles and adjusted course. That resilience becomes a part of your identity. You don't just succeed. You become the kind of person who can handle success, who can carry responsibility, who can stay steady when others are shaken. That's sustainability. But fast success doesn't give you time to build that internal strength. It gives you the outcome without the process, the crown without the weight training. And the result is fragility. Fragile people break when criticized because they've never learned how to handle rejection. Fragile people panic when failure comes because they've never been forced to rebuild. Fragile people cling to ego because they don't have character to stand on. And fragility isn't just dangerous for the individual, it's dangerous for everyone who depends on them. This is why slow success is such a gift, even though it doesn't feel like it in the moment. Every delay, every setback, every period where it feels like nothing is happening is adding strength to the foundation. It's preparing you to withstand not only the pursuit of success, but the pressure of keeping it once you have it. And the pressure of keeping success is often greater than the pressure of achieving it. Because once you succeed, expectations rise. Eyes are on you. The weight is heavier. If you haven't built sustainability into your character, into your habits, into your way of thinking, the success that once thrilled you will eventually crush you. There is also a deeper philosophical reality here. What grows slowly integrates itself into your identity. It becomes who you are, not just what you have. A skill developed over years becomes inseparable from your character. A business built from the ground up reflects your vision and your values. A relationship forged through challenges develops trust that can't be faked. These things are sustainable because they are authentic. They aren't a performance, they are a reality. Fast success, on the other hand, often feels external, like something attached to you rather than something that flows from within you. And anything external can be taken away. Anything external is vulnerable. Sustainability is about depth, and depth takes time. Fragility is about shortcuts, and shortcuts collapse under weight. The irony is that the very thing we often resist, the slowness, the setbacks, the grind, is the thing making our success unshakable. Without it, we may rise quickly, but we'll fall just as fast. With it, we may rise slowly, but once we're there, nothing can move us easily. So don't be deceived by speed. Fast isn't always better. What matters is not how quickly you get there, but how long you can stay there. Success is not a sprint, it's a marathon. The question is not just whether you can achieve it, it's whether you can sustain it. And sustainability belongs to those who embrace the slow road. who built their foundation brick by brick, who chose depth over appearance. One of the most important lessons you can ever learn about success is that the process is not just a means to an end. The process is the end. It's not simply the road to the destination. It is the place where the real transformation happens. Fast success robs you of this truth because it shortcuts the journey. But slow success forces you to live inside the process, to engage with it deeply, and to discover that who you are becoming in the struggle is far more valuable than what you get at the finish line. We live in a culture obsessed with outcomes. People want the award, the recognition, the wealth, the title. They measure themselves by what they have, not by who they are becoming. And in that rush toward outcomes, the process is often treated as a nuisance, something to do until you finally arrive. But that attitude is precisely what keeps people shallow. Because if you don't value the process, you never internalize the lessons it's trying to teach you. Slow success changes that. It slows you down enough to pay attention. Every failure, every obstacle, every small win becomes a teacher. You learn patience when doors don't open right away. You learn creativity when resources are scarce. You learn resilience when rejection stings. These lessons don't just get you to success. They shape the kind of person who can handle success. The process teaches you to respect the weight of the journey, to embrace the discipline it demands, and to find meaning not just in reaching the top, but in every step along the way. Psychologically, this is profound. When you shift your focus from outcome to process, you liberate yourself from the tyranny of constant comparison. Instead of measuring your worth by where others are or how fast they're moving, you anchor yourself in your own progress. You begin to see effort itself as meaningful, not just the reward. And that shift builds resilience because even when the external results aren't visible yet, the internal growth is undeniable. You're getting stronger, wiser, more capable, and that cannot be taken away from you. Contrast that with fast success. When things come quickly, there's no time to appreciate the process, no space to absorb the lessons. You get the outcome without the preparation. And because you haven't learned to value the journey, you tie your identity entirely to the result. That's why fast success feels so fragile the moment results slip, the person collapses. There's no process to fall back on, no inner reservoir of wisdom to draw from. No resilience built through years of struggle. Fast success gives you the illusion of strength, but none of its substance. There's also something deeply moral about the process. When you've walked through difficulty, you develop empathy. You begin to see that success is not just about talent or intelligence, but about persistence, sacrifice, and perseverance. That recognition makes you respect others on their journeys. It humbles you, grounds you, and keeps you from looking down on those who are still in the grind. Without the process, you lose that moral depth. You may win quickly, but you win shallowly, and shallow victories rarely last. The process also reveals to you what you truly value. When you're forced to endure years of preparation, years of obscurity, years of failure, you find out whether you really want the thing you're pursuing or whether you were simply chasing applause. The process burns away the ego-driven motives and leaves only what's genuine. If you can still keep going when no one notices, when nothing glamorous comes out of it, then you've discovered something real about yourself. That kind of authenticity can never be found in shortcuts. It's only revealed through the grind. And so the paradox is that the very thing most people try to avoid, the slow, painful process, is actually the most valuable part of the journey. It's what makes success meaningful. It's what transforms you into someone capable of holding on to success without being crushed by it. If you skip the process, you may reach the destination, but you won't have the depth to stay there. So don't despise the process. Don't rush through it. Don't treat it as an obstacle to your dream. The process is your dream. It is the shaping of your character, the development of your gifts, the forging of your resilience. The outcome will come in time, but it will only matter if you've learned to love the process that got you there. At some point in the pursuit of success, you're forced to ask yourself, what is all of this for? Is it for applause, recognition, a burst of attention that fades as quickly as it came? Or is it for something deeper, for impact, for meaning, for a legacy that outlasts you? The difference between hype and legacy is the difference between ego and character. Fast success feeds hype. It creates noise, generates excitement, and offers a fleeting sense of importance. Slow success, on the other hand, builds legacy because it is grounded in character, discipline, and a purpose larger than yourself. Hype is fragile by nature. It depends on other people's attention, which is fickle, always shifting to the next trend, the next story, the next figure to idolize, and then discard. When your identity is built on hype, you are always at the mercy of the crowd. You find yourself constantly chasing relevance, trying to keep the spotlight from moving on. That is a prison, not freedom. And is the fate of those whose success comes too quickly before they built the depth of character to anchor themselves in something more enduring. Legacy is different. Legacy is not about being noticed for a moment, but being remembered for a lifetime. It's about leaving behind something that endures long after the noise dies down. And legacy is only possible when success comes through slow, deliberate effort, because legacy requires depth. You cannot build something lasting without sacrifice. You cannot leave a mark without perseverance. And you cannot inspire others if your story is nothing but instant gratification. Think about the people who have truly changed the world, not just celebrities or temporary icons, but those whose names are spoken decades or even centuries after their deaths. Their greatness wasn't built on hype, it was built on legacy. They endured hardship, they faced rejection, they sacrificed comfort. They took the long road, and because they did, their impact endures. Slow success gave them the credibility and moral authority to leave something behind that mattered. Psychologically, this shift from hype to legacy is profound. Hype is about the self. It's about feeding the ego, about proving your worth in the eyes of others. Legacy is about the other. It's about contributing, about giving more than you take, about shaping lives beyond your own. And paradoxically, when you stop living for yourself, when you stop chasing validation, that's when you actually become most powerful. Because then your success is no longer just personal. It becomes communal, generational, transformational. This is why the slow path is so essential. It gives you time to grow into someone who thinks beyond yourself. When you struggle, when you sacrifice, when you endure the grind, you learn empathy. You realize how difficult the road really is, and you respect it. That humility fuels a desire to give back, to help others climb the mountain once you've made it. And that's what creates legacy. Legacy is not just about what you achieved. It's about what you inspired, what you built for others, what you left behind that continues to grow even in your absence. Fast success doesn't allow for this kind of depth. It tricks you into thinking the hype will last forever, but it never does. The crowd moves on, the spotlight fades, and the person left behind often feels emptier than before. That is the tragedy of ego-driven success. It gives you everything you thought you wanted, but nothing you actually needed. Slow success avoids that tragedy by giving you meaning. It ensures that your journey isn't wasted on shallow applause. It transforms your achievements into something that carries weight, something that speaks beyond your lifetime. And in the end, that's what people remember. They don't remember how quickly you succeeded. They remember how deeply you impacted them, how you lived, and what you left behind. So the choice is clear. You can chase hype, or you can build legacy. One will make you feel important for a moment. The other will make your life significant forever. One feeds the ego but leaves you empty. The other forges character and fills you with purpose. When you step back and look at the difference between slow success and fast success, the lesson becomes undeniable. Slow success may test your patience. It may demand discipline. It may humble you through struggle, but in the process it builds character, depth, and resilience. It gives you a foundation strong enough to endure and a vision clear enough to create something meaningful. Fast success may feel exhilarating, but it too often feeds ego, blinds you to reality, and leaves you fragile when the storms come. The choice is not between struggle and ease. It is between building a legacy that lasts or chasing hype that fades. So embrace the slow road, embrace the process, and let the journey shape you into someone who can carry success with strength, humility, and purpose. Because in the end, it is not speed that defines greatness, but the depth of the person you become along the way.